Hi, everybody. Good morning. On community event on a Friday, a beautiful day. Antje's here. I'm Adam Seligman. We're going to co-present. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. All right. Hey, super excited to be here. I'm Adam Seligman. I run developer relations, our developer experience team, and our open source strategic marketing team for AWS. I've been with the company for a couple of years. I also worked in some services. I don't know if anybody's used Amplify, AppSync, Code Catalyst, Code Services, App Studio, QApps. Got a chance to work on some of those services. An amazing experience. And I'm joined by Antje.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here today. I'm Antje Barth, Principal Developer Advocate in Adam's team. I focus a lot, as you can tell probably, on generative AI, AI engineering as a new kind of discipline and really kind of how our daily jobs change, captured in this new kind of definition of AI engineering. Super excited to show you a little bit how the world is changing around us. But Adam, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I wanted to start to frame the talk. We wanted to frame the talk with it's a moment of change. You know what change feels like? You know, like the new world, these new things look really different, and they're not all there, and they have limitations and edges, and we can't quite figure them out, but they're also exciting and evolving really fast. And that's what we wanted to center this talk on, is how we are at a really unique moment of change. It may be the most significant moment of change any of us see in our careers as engineers and software developers. This is quite a moment that we are at, and I want to just like draw a little perspective on that, and share some perspectives. I'll start with, it's not just a moment of change because LLMs can and this AI stuff can do things for programmers. It's a moment of change because consumers, like our friends and family and us, we want technology, we want our lives to work in different ways. This is a picture, I thought this is a fun one. Amazon has this new chatbot called Rufus, but that's not what I want to draw your eyes to. 4.7 stars out of 139,475 ratings. That's actually not so useful to me as a shopper. I'd like to know, is this a good product? What are the shortcomings? Am I going to like these socks? Are they good for running? There's all this like stuff that I want to know, and I can't read 139,000 things. So the way we work as consumers, the way we want to live as consumers is really changing in new and unexpected ways. We as engineers are being pulled along to this new world. We're being asked to build new things in new ways. So I wanted to start with that. I hope you can hear me. Okay, and then the other thing that's to level set on is, interestingly, this is a real stat. It's from software.com, Global Code Time Report, that developers only get to spend 52 minutes a day writing code. Now, they do other software development tasks in the life cycle, and they do a lot of email and meetings, and there's writing design documents and things, but the actual part of software development is less than an hour a day. Does that seem familiar, or is that surprising to you? Well, I can't hear you. A little surprising, yeah. But and imagine, you lucky people are the people that get to work with modern cloud technology. Not everybody in their job has that opportunity, right? So we really see an opportunity and a shift that the way developers work is going to change. And it's not all here yet, but it's coming really, really fast. And we feel on my team and at AWS and Antje and our other leaders here, we want to help figure out what this new world looks like. And again, it's not all here, but help figure out how we work there and the tools you need and the tactics and the new skills you're going to need to take advantage of this and go even faster and build these new experiences. So studies will show you that I think you all know this, but the software development lifecycle is this whole wheel of activities that starts with like planning and understanding requirements, getting documentation, talking to other experts in the business and other technical experts, the actual like code and infrastructure creation and provisioning, all the testing and the security work that's needed to keep something secure, and that's like an always-on kind of activity. You're always moving forward to keep your code and keep your systems secure. And then also issues. Issues come up. The world is stochastic. Things break. New and unexpected events happen, and you have to handle that and respond to them and respond to things you've never seen before. And then also, everything we build is immediately debt. It's like shiny day one, and then forever after, it's debt, and there's modernization to do. So this is like the wheel of the whole software and cloud and software development lifecycle. And there's a lot of steps there. And we see a lot of generative AI discussions talking about just one part of that generate code part. And I just want to connect that to that less than 52 minutes, that less than an hour a day, that 52 minutes a day stat, that actually the places that are going to change the way we work in software development will probably include many more pieces of this wheel than just the writing that inline code part. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. I saw this chart and I was stunned. This is hopefully a wake up for everyone like it was for me. So this is the performance of AI systems since the 90s doing different things that humans would do. And on the right are these different kind of tasks: reading comprehension, language understanding, speech recognition, predictive reasoning, math problem solving. Code generation is one of those. And there's a score, and it's human performance at the benchmark is set to 0. And then it's percentage. So minus 100 is it can't do anything, and 0 is it's at human benchmark. And then you go all the way up to 20, that's like 20% better than an average human, right? Now, humans are not the same, obviously. So you see everything goes up and to the right. AI gets better. I think we've all seen that. Google Photos can find my kids and my spouse and stuff. That's pretty cool. But here's what I want to draw your attention to. Look at the shape of those lines. They are all going they rise very, very fast. Our problem right now is not, can we make AI do things? We're running out of benchmarks. We're running out of hard problems to go optimize AI-based systems against. Now, I look at this stuff. I play with this stuff. And the first thing I do when I fired up ChatGPT, I don't know, 18 months ago, is okay, how can I break it? What can it not do? And you really quickly find things that you can find edges they fail on, right? And you're like, oh, I'm a programmer. I know how to program really well. I know how to administer really well. We all have amazing special skills in different areas. And so we could argue kind of where 0 should be. Should 0 be 0, or for my domain and my expertise, 0 should be I'm up at 40 or something. I'm at 50. I'm 50% better than an average human. That's great. That is true. And human work is going to absolutely continue. But I just want to again draw your attention to the shape of those lines. So I want to help us and our community get ready for a world where we have tools that can help us with that whole circle of activities, maybe the parts of the circle where we don't want to spend our time, and let us spend our time in the things where we uniquely are just really passionate and skilled and want to add our special something and push ourselves to learn more. And then maybe use AI to help us with all of the other parts that's less interesting to us. So our investment at AWS is Amazon Q. And specifically for software developers, it's Amazon Q Developer. And our model is that we could build an AI assistant that's your expert for AWS for the whole life cycle. And so we surface Q in different places, like in the console and in IDE, like in your JetBrains or your VS Code. But our vision is Q is actually a service that is an expert that can help you with all the places you're going to work in the cloud. And so the whole life cycle. And so it's not just app programmers or front-end developers or an IT operator or a system architect. We really want to encompass that to all the related roles. We want to help you with the whole life cycle, designing and testing and operating and debugging and maintaining and modernizing. And again, maybe you'll use these tools to the places you're less interested in, so you could put more of your energy and passion into the parts where you're most interested in. And also help you tackle, we'll develop this idea a bit more together, the areas that you know less about, so you can go faster in those areas and you can learn more in those areas. And one other thing that's really important is, when you look at these different models and tools, there's lots of them out there. It's moving really fast. We're really committed to building an AWS expert that thinks about things in a well-architected way, in a security-centric way, that takes our expertise that we've learned together on this journey with you of building reliable distributed systems and sort of building that into the tool. Now, it's going to be an ongoing journey. We're never going to be done with this, but that is our approach with building Q, and that's what we're relentlessly driving forward towards. Okay, so Q today can do a lot of different things. So I'll give you a few examples. In the planning stage, you could use it in the management console. You could get best practices, ask questions about the well-architected framework. You could ask it to explain code, extant code to you. I don't know if you've seen this. You can right-click a context menu in VS Code, just explain any code or IEC to you, which is pretty exciting. So you could quickly understand some code you've been given. It'll help you code in the IDE and on the CLI using CLI commands. And you could code conversationally, so you can ask it with a chat inside your IDE to help you with something with your current application as context. And you might not like its first response and say, you know, I really want to use this other pattern. How would you apply that? And interact with it. So it's like a companion to really partner with as an expert. It will write unit tests for you. I don't know about you. I don't like writing unit tests. In my career, I have so many lines of code in me. I have very few lines of unit tests in me. I've loved that Coding Assistant can write unit tests for me. That is really exciting. Also, security scanning. I'm not an expert in this space, and so I really like that I can do security scanning and get guidance on how to do remediation. That's not my core area of expertise. I've personally really enjoyed that. And then there's lots of errors and new and interesting errors that come up that I found when I built systems, and I found Q really helpful for me to understand systems. There's some really neat features like the VPC reachability analyzer that are surprisingly predictable in its ability to actually tell you what's going on and how to remediate it. AWS resource optimization, you'll see a little more of that. And then one thing that's coming that's pretty exciting that Antje will show you is also like more agentic systems, where instead of just you chatting to interact with it, you give it a task to do, and this Q will go off and do the task and lay out its approach, tell you what diffs it's going to make, tell you some of the dead ends or errors it found and it fixed along the way, and then show you the diffs at the end and see if you want to accept that, which is pretty neat. I'll give you one example. So we use the core underlying technology in Q's code transformation for Java feature. So Amazon has a really big fleet of Java apps. So we have a lot of Java 8 apps that we'd like to upgrade to newer runtimes, primarily for the performance and also to some, in some cases, security reasons. But with a big fleet, there's a lot of performance advantages to upgrading your runtime. So normally that would take us on the order of 50 developer days of work to like assess the app, plan it, write the new tests, do the upgrade, test it, build it, blah, 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 deploy it. And we could get each of those apps to be done in hours with this Q code transformation feature for Java. So we saved 4,500 developer years of work across our fleet. Andy Jassy has a LinkedIn post with a bunch of details. And the operating cost per year is more than $250 million a year because we get a more efficient fleet. And as I said, it's a large fleet. So I don't know about you, but like most developers don't really want to have the Java runtime as like a key project they put in their resume that they upgraded a legacy application fleet. It's like not super fun work. It's not the most interesting work. Some of it is pretty laborious. So to be able to use a tool like Q and use the code transformation feature to do this for you is pretty extraordinary. And we're really happy with that result. OK, and this one I'm really passionate about. Using AWS today requires a pretty high bar of skills, right? Like there's a lot to learn, a lot of foundations, a lot of software development, engineering practices, cloud, AWS-specific things. One of the things that was exciting to us is could we use this new generative AI capabilities to open the aperture for many more builders so that more humans in the world could participate in this amazing ecosystem and build things, build those new experiences, build things that are valuable for their careers, for their company, like, and grow and learn and do more and more. And this doesn't mean software development goes away. It just means we could make the tent bigger so more people could build things and more people could participate in this economy. So I'm super excited about this. We released a preview of this in July, AWS App Studio. AWS App Studio is a no-code generative AI application building environment. You end up with serverless apps that scale like serverless, that they're real AWS apps that use AWS services and rely on IAM and log like an AWS app would log. You don't take on the code as the user. We take all the code for you. You don't see the code. We run the code. It's under version control and everything, but we maintain the code for you. You don't see the code. You just get a serverless application. And what's really neat is you can start with just a prompt in natural language, English, and start building the application. And it'll work with you to understand your requirements, the data model you need. You see this is the app use case on the right. And then instantly, almost the minute or two, give you a serverless application. And what's really cool is it also is extensible. So our mental model was we would like it if an AWS customer that's got like data inside AWS and existing Lambdas and things could enable more people to deliver valuable business applications that work with their data. And one thing I'm particularly proud of is it's all extensible with JavaScript anywhere. And we have generative AI helping you write that JavaScript so that if you do ever get stuck and you need a little more complicated logic, or you want to write a transform some data coming back from a data service, you could just ask the AI to help you write a line or two, or maybe a little more JavaScript. That's the only code in your application, but as you can imagine, with the power of JavaScript, you're never stuck. So we're super excited about App Studio. There's a lot coming in the reInvent timeframe, so I hope you all kick the tires. It was a really fun journey building that AI agentic system to make this possible. And then we wanted to push even further, like the business users that are not like quite so technically oriented. To say a line of JavaScript, that's probably not their thing. So Amazon Q is like our expert business assistant for like business users. So it can do the search, you can find knowledge inside your organization. So you might use it to do like a custom internal chat in your organization to help your employees like find business data, answer questions about policies, look up documents, help draft an email or copy or something. And one of the things we did is we discovered that, well, people would do the same thing a couple times, like a couple steps over and over. And we had the insight that just like in Party Rock, you could just turn that into an application. So Q Apps is a feature inside Q that allows any business person to just describe the app they want or just take a series of prompts and create an app. Inputs, outputs, LLM steps, corporate data sources. In the fullness of time, calling internal services like Lambdas or APIs. So again, you can't build anything with it like you can build with AWS, but it's amazing that a business user can just in minutes start building and sharing LLM-powered applications that work with corporate data securely and enable them to work faster and deliver new features or better serve customers, all those things businesses are wrestling with. So I think that takes us to the next step, which is like sort of what's next? What does all this mean? Does anybody know what SWE bench is? Kind of a weird phrase, SWE bench. Anybody heard of this? Okay, so a research group took a bunch of Git issues from a bunch of popular Python repos and made a benchmark out of it. So these issues were closed issues. So they had like the issue and then the code diff, and the successful code diff that was merged into the project. And they called that a benchmark. And then they let AI agents try to solve just the issues and then look at the output and see if the output solved the problem like the actual, in the world solution did. They called this SWE bench. OpenAI did some work to like do a really high quality subset of 500 of those issues called SWE bench verified. They released it July 21st. And that same day, we ran the test and Q Developer Agent was #1 in the world for fully agentic automated solutions, autonomous fixing of issues, right? Like the issue has been written and then the agent would solve it and submit it back for benchmarking. And we were #1 in the world. Now, in the last month, the leaderboard has moved again and somebody's at 45%, so we're not at the top. It's gonna keep changing, I think, every week. It's pretty exciting. But I just wanted to communicate that this benchmark is just a really good, kind of view of that same line we saw before that AI agents like Q and others out there are going to get better and better and better at taking on more things. So we're not there yet. It's not 100% or above 100%, but it's getting better, and it's getting better fast. There is a feature inside Q that Antje is going to talk about that lets you experiment with this today. And I hope everybody today actually hits this feature and runs Q as an agentic agent and see how it does for you. OK, this kind of sets us up to the next part of the talk. And while I can do it from a high level, Antje is a person that really lives with the technology every day and has built some of this technology. And I think she's going to talk about what it means for you.
I will. Thank you so much, Adam. All right, Adam talked a lot about what is changing and the new tools that we offer to really bring more developers, more builders, even business people in this world and being able to build amazing apps and amazing experiences. What I want to touch on now in this second part is a little bit also like the skill sets, right? We know what's changing, but how do we have really kind of, change the day-to-day and the new skills that we have to learn to succeed, and not just to succeed, but really to thrive in this new era? And I want to start just here briefly talking about the AWS toolkit. So Adam mentioned a couple of services and tools already. Amazon Q, we have App Studio. We also have Amazon Bedrock, which gives you access to an amazing number of foundation models through a single API, where you can just work and build applications, test the different models, all in a very secured environment where you are in full control of your data, which is super important as well. So if you haven't tapped into those, just think about expanding your AWS toolkit you're using today and exploring this a little bit. But apart from the tools, I want to talk to not just how the work is changing, but also it's changing what we can build with it. So let's get started with how we build, and we already heard a little bit. So I just want to go a little bit deeper here. And I'm pretty sure many of you have seen this quote by Antje Barth. It's already from 2023, but I think it's still very valid, that the hottest new programming language is becoming English. And I think we can all agree that a lot of experiences we see on the day-to-day, right, outside of AWS as well, you can start using natural language to interact with services, shopping experiences that we've seen, and just use language to achieve what you're looking for. So this requires a couple of new skills. And I also want to show you in the technical world, this is what Adam just called out, the agentic capabilities that we're building into those tools. And here, for example, is the Amazon Q developer agent. And it has a couple of / commands. So this is the Q running in your IDE. Here it's VS Code. And I'm going to roll this quick demo here. And you can start by just putting in /dev. And now what I'm doing, I'm putting in a description of what I want to build. So in this example, write a simple search function to search by category in DynamoDB table. And I'm going to further describe exactly what I want to see here. And you can see now that Q is starting to think about it. And it's going to create a plan for us. So here you can see the plan. It's telling me what I have to do. So it's telling me, based on the context of my existing project, of my existing code here on the right, I need to update the template YAML file. I need to create a new handler file, define a couple of things here. So you can scroll through, and you can review the plan. And then if you agree with it, it's a change set, so you can review the suggested changes. And then you can click, let's do it, and it's generating the code for you. So really exciting to see those capabilities. And you saw the other commands, what Adam mentioned, the transform command to upgrade Java code, for example. Here you can see the code suggestions coming in. And then it creates the code for you once you click it. And I just quickly added this just minutes before the keynote here. I also want to call out, even if you use Q in the past, it's changing so fast, almost on a day-to-day basis. This just came out yesterday, and we publish an official Amazon Q changelog, if you look for that, where we're showing what improvements go in. So just yesterday, the team pushed an update where now this agent capability is able to combine the planning and the code generation in a much more simpler way, so you don't have to every time go in and review. So it's getting a lot faster, a lot more autonomous. You still have the controls, of course, to see what's changing, but it's really kind of helping to improve code quality and make it much more seamless and faster to iterate on it. So I encourage everyone, if you're playing around with it, check regularly for the updates. The team is working intensively here to really make it an exciting tool that helps you all work more efficiently. That's not the only thing. Adam also called out Q is available in the console. So you will see this little logo popping up in all the different places in AWS, which is exciting. In the console, you can now start chatting with your resources. So here's just a quick example, question coming in, do I have any EC2 instances running? I'm not sure about you, but I forgot a bunch of times. Stuff is running in my account. Wasn't sure in which region anymore. This can also do cross-region. And you can see here the response. If you give it consent to, look at your resources, it can pull up the resources. You can ask follow-up questions, list the open ports on the security groups for that instance, and Q will help you collect that information. So rather than you popping into all of the different regions, clicking around, finding that, you can start just chatting with it, which I think is super, super amazing. Now, the skill where I want to come back with, this is all natural language. And it's basically prompting the tool and the models behind it to give you that information. Now, if you had a little bit of experience with prompting, there is this new skill called prompt engineering, which means you have to understand how to write prompts to get to the results you want. Imagine you putting in a very vague description of something. The response might be also very general. So prompt engineering best practices, be very specific, be very concise. So you have to kind of build that skill if you haven't played around with it, and just test a couple of different prompts and understand. And it's kind of becoming, instead of becoming really great at writing efficient code, it's now also a skill to be able to write efficient prompts to get to the results really fast. And a great way to do this is to start with examples, right? Check with your community. There's great examples out there. Just highlight a few of them, because a lot of times I also get asked about, hey, I'm not a software developer in my role. I'm working more on the data engineering tasks or other areas in the cloud. Is this really a tool for me? Absolutely. And we're working hard to push out examples here. We also have community members. I just want to call out Nana here on top. She's one of our heroes in Austria. She put together a really cool video that shows how she started using Q in her day-to-day. And also check out, if you haven't done so, the AWS Developer YouTube channel, where my team and a lot of others are putting out videos and helping you just show and demonstrate and inspire what you could use it for. So migrating Kafka connectors, building Terraform projects. What's that? Amazon ECS, data pipeline inconsistencies, right? So even if you're not, thinking that this might be a tool you're using on a day-to-day, just, check it out. Talk to community members, talk to your peers, and check out resources and see, how others are using the tools. Now, with all of this, and I know this can be scary because there is a lot of change that's happening, right? And change is always scary. We will have to continuously learn, to kind of, stay up to date. What's coming, what's evolving. This technology is moving and evolving so fast. So continuous learning will be a key skill that just we have to embrace. And the nice thing is there's also a lot of things AI can help us with in the learning. Tools like Q, they give you already a lot of during the job, during coding, coaching, you can ask it, hey, is this code efficient? It will maybe optimize the code. So there's a lot of on-the-job things. But also, I don't know about you, I spend a lot of time just in the morning, I grab a cup of coffee, and I surf around a couple of, I read my famous newsletters, the popular ones. I maybe go to Hacker News and read some comments there just to understand over my morning coffee what's happening. You can also use AI for that, and here's a fun little project I just want to show as an example. My colleague Ricardo put this together. He was struggling with the same thing, right? So much information, I don't even have the time to read everything anymore. He built a little project. It's available on GitHub if you want to reuse it, built on Bedrock, that is basically going to Hacker News and summarizing all the comments there. So, and there's a million tools like that available, right? If you're into podcasts, there's a tool there you can just give it a topic, and the tool kind of, looks at the current podcast episodes and collects the ones relevant for the topic you want to learn about. So I want to encourage everyone to get a little bit creative and see how you can also leverage AI for that purpose. Now, the other thing that's changing is how we collaborate. And it's not just collaborating with AI, it's also collaborating with teams that is changing. And how I see this evolving is really kind of embracing AI as being part of your team. It's not going to replace communication with your peers and working together on projects, but it's helping you to collaborate a little bit more efficiently, and then you also have a new team member maybe, that's an AI tool. And I want to just briefly show an example of each. So who of you are working with Kubernetes? That's always a lot of people, right? I used to do that too. Have you heard of Kubernetes GPT? Who knows the project? A couple of hands, that's great. So what this tool does, and there's just a little example on the right here that goes, it can scan your Kubernetes cluster and help you to diagnose and triage issues in plain, simple English. Right? We all know this. We get an error message. We're trying to figure out if you have done that for many years, you probably know what's happening. If you're starting and you're new to the space, you might not know, right? You have to search for the error, try to understand what's happening, and here it now tells you directly in English what's going on in your cluster. So super cool, and this will not replace your experience, but it will help you to just work faster, and if you're starting in the space, to learn faster. So I would recommend checking this out. Another example here, like the human collaboration, right, across teams. I don't know about you, but I have a million Slack channels. Like, I get so much information internally, people sharing updates. Here's a great thing we just did, and hey, can you help me read this paper? So I'm also struggling just, like, how can I make this more efficient? And here's another example from a community member, Corey, that published on our community AWS site a fun project he called SlackRock. So he built on top of Bedrock a little application, a little bot that you can add to any Slack workspace, your Slack channels, and you can just chat with it and say, hey, summarize this thread, optimize whatever you were like, I don't know, writing something, and you just want to have a quick check to optimize what you're writing. So all of the goodness that the language models and Gen AI brings us right in your workspace. And those are just, the great fun project that I think on a day-to-day, even if it helps us to be, like 1% more efficient in our day-to-day job. And it's fun to just play around with. So also available on GitHub. Now, this is the part like how AI is changing how we build. But there's also this whole new world of what we can build now with the technology. And Adam also touched on this, new experiences, right? The way we interact with services, with tools, with applications. These days, we expect a lot more. We want to have summarized reviews. We want to have a much more personalized experience. We want to know that the service, the company knows us much better. There's this whole category of productivity applications that help us, consume content faster, learn faster. Insights, working with data, right? You can talk in natural language to your BI systems and say, hey, can you just tell me, summarize the data here, maybe sales across last quarter for this specific region, getting to those insights much, much faster than before. And then the whole creativity space, right? I think everyone has seen this. You can just, create images these days, and we're also tapping much more into a space where you can just, provide images, create videos. So it's unlocking this whole new possibility of which elements we can include in our applications and making amazing experiences for our customers. And you've probably seen this a million times already, the example of building a personalized agent. But it's tackling an important topic and kind of the really big use cases, which I just said, personalization. It's coming down that customers, your customers are expecting, and we ourselves as well, personalized experiences, company knowing us, also knowing the history. So in this example, a travel agent, these days, you want to combine it with your specific domain data, right, if you're in this space. So you should know the end users, past trips, travel preferences, and then you can enrich the experience for that user when he's coming in looking for a specific destination. You already provide suggestions based on this, and it's getting more and more personalized. And this is where your differentiator lies in this world, right? Your company data, your knowledge about your end users, which you can use to really make a great experience. But the one thing here, this is predominantly still based on text, right? So you're providing text, natural language, and usually get a text response displayed on the app, but still. So what I see and what we see right now, the next frontier that is really exciting, which is happening, is moving into more multimodal AI applications. And what does that mean? That means it's not just only providing text as an input. Think about providing images, providing video, audio, other modalities that can enrich the application. Like one fun example is for like a multimodal search experience. Think about providing the sound of the ocean, like sound about the waves crashing, coming in, rolling in. And you just provide the audio of that, and maybe the application brings back images, right? Images that show ocean scenery, et cetera. So it's a whole different thing where you can just provide any type of input, and it's able to relate it to a similar concept in a different modality. So a whole new idea of applications we can build here. Creative industries, of course, right? What I just touched on, you can provide an image and suddenly, you're creating a video out of it. I think we all seen those examples. Healthcare, where you can analyze, sequences of image and provide outcomes and better diagnosis. Education, think about you're describing, I want to build a course that explains how like a storm is formed or like weather phenomena. And what the application can do is not just provide kind of a course outline suggestion, it may be also able to provide visualizations for that course. Maybe even generate some audio, right, and talk through. And then of course robotics, which is a field very interesting that needs to take in a lot of information from the environment to improve. So really exciting space here. And I also want to show another community example. This is really cool. This is from Agostinos, who is another ML hero from the community. And this is a talk he gave at last reInvent, where he demonstrated a project that he built. And this is a personal project. He wanted to create a personalized comic video generator to create bedtime stories for his little kid, which I think is a super cool idea. And it's personalized in a way that it's, the characters that his little kid loves. And he built this application, and there's a full story on Community AWS and a longer form video that talks about, and of course the session recording, how he used AI to come up with a story. So you give it an input prompt, an idea, it creates the story, the bedtime story, it creates the visuals, and it's also creating, a little video sequence. So you can basically automate bedtime stories as well. So this is just a fun project, but to show you it's not just work-related, there's so much we can do, and I'm just excited about the opportunity here. And I know we talked a lot about tools, technologies, and what's happening in this space, but I also want to call out it's going beyond that. It's about all of you. It's about the innovators, the builders, the developers that come together, like on days like today, explore what's possible, come up with great new creative ideas, start building, and also start sharing the knowledge. And Adam, why don't you share your opinion on this?
Yeah, like I think we'll end and we'll be open with it. It's a heck of a moment, right? It is really a disruptive moment. And when we have great technical leaders take us through, I think the best advice we could offer the community here is just really be fearless. Be fearless tackling these new problems and challenges and opportunities, work with the new tools, learn to use them in new ways. All this prompting skills and wiring these up is definitely a new set of skills, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then I think the last thing is, you saw like with Q and App Studio and Q Apps, and there'll be new tools and tools from our partners in the ecosystem. We can also welcome many more people into the community, and many more people can participate in the cloud and use AWS and deliver value. And so I think this room could be even bigger in the future with more people that we bring in and take our knowledge and help them join us. And I think it's a noble thing to do, but it's also really, really exciting for what it could mean for the economy and for people's careers. And you are the people that can help do that expansion and help welcome those people in, which is pretty exciting.
Absolutely. So with that, we're going to wrap up here our keynote. Thanks so much for having us.
I don't think it's a community event unless there's a selfie. What do you think? Can we get a big cheer for everybody? Let's kick off Community Day. Woo! All right, thanks so much.
Enjoy the Community Day Bay Area today.